Hi, my name is Bill Schaeffer, and I have a book review tonight, Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth by R. Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller was a self-made scholar of the 20th century. He is best known for the Geodesic dome, for the Dymaxion house, and the Dymaxion car. I was lucky to see the Dymaxion car at an exhibit a number of years ago. I first read Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth in college, and the notable thing about it to me was the tone of optimism. Frequently, books that seek to predict the future have a negative tone, or they're written about some negative consequence of present activity. And most books that seek to predict the future are somehow negative in scope, and we tend to think of the future as being a negative event, as a time when things will generally go bad. That's kind of the prevailing tone today, it seems. And that's why it stood out to me that Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth has an overall positive tone to it. It's optimistic, it's hopeful, and that's what I like about it. And that's what I like about Buckminster Fuller. The first thing I like about this book is the title, Spaceship Earth. Now, this book was published in 1969, and at that time we were just becoming aware of environmental issues and pollution. And no one really thought of the Earth as existing by itself out in space. And the name of the book, Spaceship Earth, really highlighted the fact of how alone we are, and how small the planet Earth really is, and how big the rest of the universe is, and how lonely it is. And in a lot of ways, we really are on a spaceship. Another thing I like about this book, as I mentioned earlier, is the optimism. He openly states that humans are creative and intelligent, and we will figure out a way to solve problems. That's what we do. We solve problems. And he has a few examples in there, like a shipwreck where someone uses the lid of a piano as a raft, as a life raft to survive. And where it may be idealistic, it is true. And I like the reminder that the book has that people can solve their problems, and unexpected problems will come in the future, and we'll figure out how to solve them, and we'll survive. I like that idea. I also like the chapter on general systems theory. And in here he introduces the concept of synergy, and he introduces the concept of the underlying order of randomness. And he has a graph that shows how random elements can be organized. And I really like that graph, and the idea seems to presage the later ideas of chaos and randomness and fractals that came out in the later 70s and the 80s. And I especially like the idea that he introduces of synergy. And this is fundamental to the optimism of the book, and a really interesting concept. The idea is that the whole is stronger than the sum of the parts. And this is a fundamental concept that he uses to base the optimism of the future. For example, I guess brass is made from copper and zinc, and brass is stronger, has a stronger tensile strength than the sum if you just add up the individual tensile strengths of those other metals. And this concept of synergy, how the whole is stronger than the sum of its parts, how, for example, and this is my example, a writing team like the Beatles will write better music than any of them did individually. And this is a very fundamental concept. Another example that he uses is 100 patent applications or 100 research grants. Out of those, 99 will be useless or not very important. But 1 out of 100 will be so important and such a earth-shaking scientific revolution that the results will more than pay for all the other 99 experiments, the other 99 research studies that were just of so-so importance. And I use this principle in my life a lot. If you write 100 songs, one song might be good enough to be noticed. And so you have to do a lot of things to get results from one. But the results from that one song, if you write 100 songs, have one hit song, that one hit song more than pays for all the time you worked on those other 100. So in conclusion, I suggest reading Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. It's optimistic and inspiring. It gives you hope for the future. It's easy to read, but the ideas presented are deep and far-reaching. Therefore, I highly suggest Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth by R. Buckminster Fuller. Thank you, and leave your comments below.